Hi, this is Robert back with Beau. Hey, Beau, how you doing?
Bobby.
Hey, this is part 4 of 4. We have discussed in the past. We've asked you where Wynonna came from. We've talked about the comics and some of the artists that worked on it, and we talked about the transition of from comic book to TV. So, Beau, I know you've got to be good friends with some of the actors and stuff that was in this series. We sort of talked about that a little bit last time. And I understand you got some projects in the works. Is there anything you can talk to us about that you've done and that may be out, or anything that's in the works, maybe with some of the actors, or anything around Wynonna that you can share? This is the time to put it all out there.
Well, currently, well, first of all, let me give you a little backup. Uh, Melanie Scrofano, who played Wynonna Earp on the television show, she
Uh-huh.
and I have co-written Wynonna Earp Legends book called The Sisters. We did that, and it's in the trade paperbacks and in the latest all-inclusive, all-in Wynonna Earp all-in trade paperback. Over 300 pages of every comic since the TV show that has come out to the last one. They're all in there. And
Okay.
she and I wrote together on that. That was a wonderful thing. We were at San Diego Con just talking about it. She goes, "Oh, writing comics must be fun." I said, "Well, anytime you want to do it, let's do it." You know, because she is a director, she is a screenwriter, and she's done that stuff, but she'd never done comics.
Hmm.
And we started writing together. And I got to tell you, when we were writing Wynonna Earp, and we broke it down into scenes, we'd do an outline, and in different scenes, her scenes would come in for that issue. I should have been wearing an adult diaper because Melanie is a funny person.
Is
Her
she?
wit and humor is comedian level. And the,
Uh-huh.
the dialogue she would turn in was hilarious. And I
Really?
loved it. So I would adapt with her to the comic book format. And she got to know that format as time went on, became
Uh-huh.
very adept to it. So she and I are doing a new book, which is going to be a Kickstarter book through
Okay.
Clover Press, which is Ted Adams' newer company that Robbie Robbins and Hank Knoltz are running.
Okay.
And it's called Stopwatch.
Oh,
And
okay.
it is, I'm able to say this, it is a modern day science fiction hero fun type of thing. I cannot say too much because we have made
All
no
right.
official announcement.
Okay.
But we're done with the first issue. The first issue is done by artist Randy Green. You
Oh, I
may
love
know
Randy.
from his work on Top Cow and Marvel.
Yeah.
And Randy is doing an amazing job. Super nice guy. Talks like
Yes.
you and I do, Bobby.
Who does
Same
he?
accent. Yes, he's from
Yeah.
North Carolina. And it's amazing. And the stuff, her ideas on this that she has put in here are just, again, I go, pinch, very lucky to be working with her on this. She's
Awesome.
excellent. So she and I are doing that. That should be uh, announceable sometime this year.
How many? How
At the,
many? How many
it'll
issues
be,
is there going to be?
it's slated right now.
Hmm.
Again, all this is penciled.
Tentative, huh?
5 issues.
5 issues. Okay.
Yep.
Just so they can, if they find out about it and they hear about it, they can continue.
Yep.
Now, is it going to be each one going to be a Kickstarter, or is it going to be all packages one as a
As
Kickstarter?
of right now, it's all going to be a Kickstarter.
Okay. Okay.
And again, no one else. This is the first time I've really kind of talked about
All
that. So
right.
that's about as much as I can say. Just
That's okay. Okay.
check with my social media, and I will.
Hmm.
I've got diarrhea of the mouth, so when the time
I'll
comes, it'll be out there.
down below this video, I'll list all Beau's social medias where you can go and check them and
Great.
join them and stuff. Yeah. Sure.
Then Tim Rozon and I also not only wrote Wynonna Earp Legends, the Doc Holliday stuff, but we also wrote Season Zero, Bad Day at Black Rock, which was the Kickstarter thing. We've written a lot together. He and I currently are, we wrote 2 stories in Graham Nolan's Compass Comics, which is a Kickstarter go-go
Hmm.
book on Manly Tales. We did 2 stories in there, one called True North with
Uh-huh.
artist on that is Andrew Paquette, who just does this amazing, almost John Severn painted style that's just
Wow.
incredible. It's about a bush pilot in 1955 Alaska Territory fighting colonist land pirates.
Yes.
So because I will give this away. You see most of these things that take place in the Great White North, and they've got a wolf as their companion, and he doesn't have a wolf. He's got a Wolverine.
Oh.
And the Wolverine's name is Cupcake. So there's fun. And the hero's name is Michael Mudhole Murphy. So this is 50s action adventure at its truest.
Wow.
So we did that story, and we're doing the second story, and it will be drawn by a good friend of mine, again, for almost 30 years. Tim Rozon and I are writing it. It's called Hope in Hell. And the art is by Andy Kuhn.
Andy.
You may be familiar with Andy. And it's a story about heroism by example. And it takes place in Hope, West Virginia, in the not too distant future. It's not a futuristic type, but it's 30 years in the future and how things could have been. I can't really, again, go into a whole lot of details because it hasn't been announced yet, but that's going to be,
it's going to be exciting. I know Andy pretty well. Actually, I'm working with Andy too, doing some character designs for a video game we're working on. So, yeah. I've known him
if you remember,
a long time.
Back in the day, Bobby, we did in one of the Parts Unknown source book type things that you published. Andy did the animated versions of the characters, because at one time we talked about doing a more PG rated version of Parts Unknown in an animated type of way, and Andy was going to be the artist
involved with it. His background is from animation before he got into comics. So and he's a wonderful guy. So I'm really looking forward to that story.
Super nice.
So those are being Kickstarters.
Yes. Okay. And then there's another project. I can't say who's doing it, but it's going to be a 5-issue series. It's going to be in comic shops, and it's Tim and I doing, again, something we truly love. It's going to be 5 issues, and we're doing probably, it's again, high action adventure, takes place in the 50s. And this is not meant in any, this is the best way I could put this in a way. It's, the TV show Dirty Jobs that Mike Rowe did.
Oh yeah. I loved them. Yeah.
This is that and Man from U.N.C.L.E. in the 50s put together. That's the best way I can think of to describe that. It's going to be done by a publisher that's been around for 30 years. There's no official announcement yet, but that they want to announce, and I wouldn't take that away from them. But Tim and I have already done the first issue. We're working on, it's going to be 5 issues, second issue, and it's going to be a ton of fun. That's Tim as a writer. Let me tell you this. He's a lifelong comic book collector and reader from day one. So he knows the stuff. When he and I first met, that was all we talked about. We spent San Diego Con. If we weren't doing a panel or something, we were running around buying comic books. And Silver Surfer is his favorite comic book character of all time. But Tim, coming into writing, again, Tim knows screenplay. And Tim knows comic scripts. So there was not any, he knew all that, came into it. Tim's gift, where Melanie's is dialogue, Tim's is dialogue too, but Tim's real gift is the storytelling and direction of characters. And he is, he always tells me, I've learned so much from you, Mr. Smith, blah, 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 blah. Because he calls me Mr. Smith. I call him TR, which is his initials, but they're also the initials of Teddy Roosevelt. But I've learned so much from Tim. Take the time. He takes the time to involve the characters in the movement of the story. And it's hard to describe, and that's the best I can do it, but he's a natural at it. And it just turns out wonderful. He is a fast writer too. Tim, this next scene is going to be 5 pages. Later that afternoon, those 5 pages come. And I got to be honest with you, other than a grammar thing, there's no change to him.
Really?
Tim is,
he understands the concept of pacing and page layout. That takes years to figure out for most successful writers. Well,
20 years of acting, and I guess has helped him so much. And I think and I mean this on a personal note, probably the greatest thing that I've learned from Tim is to be a better, selfless person. Tim is probably one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my life. There's no Hollywood backhand, glad handing and stuff like that to him. He is a very giving and caring person about other people and their feelings. And granted, he's Canadian. They're all supposed to be like that. But no, he really is a selfless person. And the highest compliment I can give him, there's two people that I can say about this in the business that I know first and front. I had three actually, more, but three that could really stand out that have always proven it. Todd McFarlane, Tim Rozon, and Chuck Dixon are probably the three best father and husband examples I've seen in the industry as far as friends and people like that. I mean, just you can learn from. You can learn by example. Let's just put it that way. And that's the highest compliment I could give any of them, no matter what their talents are in writing, drawing, television, movies, whatever. Those are good men.
Oh, that's awesome. Tim, isn't he in a series currently?
Yes, he is.
Let's give him a plug.
Surreal Estate. It was on Sci-Fi last year. I think recently it was announced it got picked up.
Awesome.
So I'm not sure if it's still with Sci-Fi or if it's with someone else. But yes, and he's done, just since Wynonna Earp has ended, he's done probably 2 movies, that series, and a guest star in another series. He is a working man. He's the hardest working man in entertainment. And again, always one of my favorite actors to watch. He's a good guy.
That is awesome. Well, Beau, I want to say thank you. This has been great. It's always great catching up with you. But I really appreciate coming on, letting us do a sketch magazine, letting us do this interview. I appreciate the interview for the sketch magazine, sharing all your thoughts and everything. So again, thank you, bud. I appreciate it.
I thank you, Bobby. This is my pleasure. I could sit and yabber at you all day, as you well know, for 30 years.
Don't say that. We'll have to start doing this on a regular basis.
Sounds good.
All right, bud. Take care, man.
All right, be good.
All right.